booktube. So I've been watching booktubers try and collect beans, pick books that Steve Donahue hasn't read, which is quite the task considering the amount of books that he has read. And so I thought I would throw my hat in the ring because this looked like a lot of fun. And I chose to be a bit risky in choosing like a mixture of genres, but in particular like history and biography, which I know he's a great fan of. But we'll see how I do. And I had to include Fable here in the background because I know he really likes dogs, and I'm sure all of you like watching her as well. I don't know what she's up to. She is like digging through her bed, maybe looking for a little crumb snacks from her treats. So the first one is The Other Side of Ethel Mertz, The Life Story of Vivian Vance by Frank Castellucci and Alvin Walker. And I chose this book because I thought maybe he hasn't read it because he isn't interested in the topic. I don't know. But this one, I wouldn't say it's well written because there's not a ton of primary sources, in particular about her childhood. And even later in life, she like destroyed some of her letters and like memorabilia. But the 1950s part, that is well documented at least. But the title always bugged me because she never wanted to be known as Ethel Mertz. She always wanted to be known as Vivian Vance. She hated like the being known as like the sidekick of Lucille Ball. And so I read this book after reading a Lucille Ball book, and so this is the only book I could find on Vivian Vance. So we'll see how I do with this one. Oh, fables. Then I have a book I just finished reading, and this is Tricky 22 by Janet Ivanovich. And I thought like maybe he's read the first couple, but not this one, because this is like a really long running series, and I've been reading these for like, I don't know, 15 years or so. And I don't really read like I don't think about books as guilty pleasures, but if I did, like this would be one of them because I know it's not well written, but it's just a fun time. This is about Stephanie, who is a bounty hunter, and she's not a very good bounty hunter because she's just kind of like sweeping by, making a living, and she just, I don't know, finds the bad guys by accident in a way with her with her like a fun cast of characters with her family and her friends and coworkers. And so yeah, if I need a laugh, I'll go to those books. And then I have Passing Strange by Ellen Klage, and I've only heard about this book through BookTube. So maybe he's heard about this book through that as well, or maybe he's read it. I don't know, but I don't know how widely published this is. But hopefully it's not a shot in the dark. But hopefully it's not at least accessible to him. I think it's a Kindle book, so yeah, it should be. Anyway, this is a book set in the 1940s, and it's like a mashup of historical fiction and fantasy. It includes books about like the LGBT community and their, I don't know, like kind of like going undercover in a way to like avoid like the police. And but it's a love story as well, so I really liked the story for that. Then I have my physical books, The Bat in My Pocket, A Memorable Friendship by Amanda Lawler. And this, I don't know if it's considered another risk because I know he likes bats and he likes nature books. But this is a cute story about a woman who, she's living in Texas, I believe. And she stumbles upon a bat. And so she doesn't really know anything about them. But she like learns like as she goes and like rehabilitates a bat. And I think she's like 2 or 3 that she kind of helps free after like helping them with like medical issues. But we'll see who's read this one. And then I have Bloodstains with Bronte by Catherine Bulger Hyde. And for me, like the title of this, Bronte, is what drew me in. And I don't know if Steve reads a lot of cozy mysteries, but maybe the title brought him into this as well, like it did me. But this is a murder mystery dinner party, and it's set during like the fall time where it's like rainy and dark, and someone gets murdered, and so yeah, there's that one. Then I have A Little House Sampler, a collection of early stories and reminiscences by Laura Ingalls Wilder, Rose Wilder Lane, and it's edited by William Anderson. And I read this book after reading Prairie Fires because the author of that book talked a bit about this book, so I was intrigued enough to like seek it out and read it. I know he's read Prairie Fires, but maybe he hasn't read this one. I don't know. But this I really liked because I got to see or read Rose's some of Rose's articles, or as well as Laura when she was like writing for like the Farmer Almanac kind of newspapers, as well as like my favorite part was the interview on Almanzo Wilder, because I never hear anything, never like seen anything from him, and so it's interesting to see the little interview and how man of few words he was. Then I have a children's book, which is Getting Near to Baby by Audrey Columbus, and I just kind of randomly picked a children's book off my shelf. So we'll see. It's a new very, is it a winner or an honor? It's an honor book, so I mean that does make it I don't know, more talked about. So we'll see if this is a good pick or not. But I read this way back when it first came out. It's a story about a family that lose their baby sister, and in particular how the children do with that loss and dealing with that, and as well as dealing with their parents that are just completely distraught and depressed. Then I have a history book. This is Lee's Lieutenants: A Study in Command by Douglas Southall Freeman. This is a 1-volume abridgment by Stephen W. Sears, and I know for a fact he's read Lee's Lieutenant by Douglas Southall Freeman, the books 1 through 3, but I don't know if he's read the abridgment, which I would consider a separate entity in itself, separate book. And I got this because my bookstore had each of the books were I think $30 each, which I did not want to pay. Whereas this was $10, and so I got this actually because of Steve Donahue, because he was talking about a book that had kept him up late reading. It's a tag video or something like that. We talked about books that kept him up late reading, and when anyone says that, that book is almost immediately on my radar, because I am always on the hunt for books that I just cannot put down, and so that's why I got this abridgment. I haven't read it yet, like I said, but yeah, has Steve read it? This is probably my riskiest choice. I feel a Civil War history. But, yeah, we'll see how I do. Fingers crossed I get at least one big, because I don't want to be a loser like he was saying. But anyway, thanks. I'll see you soon, book 2.